at school, I kind of was on it was almost like a default of not believing what the teacher said or not following what he said. I mean, even if it didn't make any sense, but that was kind of like my default. And so every time I got in trouble, my parents, they were 100% behind me. Whatever I wanted to do, I mean, they always tried to make it possible, So I never, there was never anything that was impossible. I mean, I was, at the same time, I was raised strictly with discipline. Like, my friends would go to parties, I wasn't allowed to go to parties. But every time I wanted to create something, to build something, make something, travel, it was always supported. Kind of gave me just a feeling of security and invincible. I grew up feeling invincible, I think. I'm half Egyptian, half German, and I grew up in a small town. Actually, I can show you right now, if you see, this is, countryside. So I grew up. And I think that, and I have a different name than most Germans have, a little different. And I mean, it's different. I think a lot of children, they don't want to be different, but my parents always instilled this pride in me. And so when I was little, it was just something very special to be Egyptian, I felt, and this is how I would communicate it. And I would do little, I would wear a traditional Egyptian gown to school, and then people would tease me and would say, why are you wearing this nightgown? And I would say, oh, you just, you don't know, this is not a nightgown, it's a galabea. Even though we wouldn't even wear that normally, nobody wears that into the streets in my family. But it was just this whole idea, the difference is actually something special and something to be proud of. So yeah, I think that's another, I always felt unique. I started BurdaStyle, it was just really all was intuition of just doing it. And I think this being brought up of always knowing you will be fine and whatever happens, and just seeing the possibility, I think that certainly helped. And also that when authority or the person who you're supposed to report to, when they tell you no or they tell you something, you just simply don't listen to it, if you think it's wrong, And it got me into a lot of trouble. I don't know, and I think there are probably some scars left in some of the relationships, and I feel like now that I'm completely out of the company and I started my own, I feel like I wanna find a conversation and talk about this. I never questioned. I had such a strong feeling. It was a physical feeling. It was so much, my stomach, it was burning. And every time I felt that, I knew I was right. I very much go by the gut feeling. When I feel something, then I just know this is the right thing to do. So I think that it was never a question. It was never a question of what can't work. It was just totally understood that this is going to happen. It's just a question of how to get there. And just doing it. It's ignoring a lot of things on the way. Just simply ignoring it, I think. There were things where, I would start, I think, signing things or spending money on things where, usually you need permissions. And I just thought it's going to figure itself out. Everything is going to figure itself out. I just have to do the right thing in terms of, the long term or even midterm. And then with Kollabora, I think it's very similar, I've had this vision for a long time and everybody told me, I've been talking about it for 2 years and people didn't even understand it, and they just, especially Germans, when I talk to German friends, they see a lot of problems right away. Americans are much more open towards that. But I just knew that there's something and I had to do it somehow. And I would just tell a lot of people, they're very open. I think another thing is my family, they're very open. We're a very open house. We always had a lot of friends over and everybody stayed the night or for dinner or for lunch or whatever. And so I'm an extremely social person. And so I talked a lot about, Kollabora, and I've been to many, conferences and events, and then suddenly, last year, it just all came into place. BurdaStyle is an open source sewing community where people share sewing patterns and what they've made. It's basically a combination out of PDF, downloadable patterns, and techniques and what people have made. And it's all revolved around one brand, which is BurdaStyle, and their patterns. I started that for a German publishing house to rejuvenate an old print magazine. And Kollabora is a DIY network combining the craft supply marketplace and communities where people can find projects and inspiration, which are paired with actual supplies that you can buy and they will be shipped to you. This was a very important part of my growing up, actually. And it was also the default mode, actually. So when we had the equivalent of Halloween in Germany, my father and my mother would make the costumes for us. So when we wanted to have a scarecrow in the garden, we would build that scarecrow. We had a workshop in the basement, so it was always, we started with making. We never thought about buying. It's something where it gives you a mental break, it's meditative, it's something for your sanity. It's something where you can improve your skills, which makes you feel good. It's something that gives you a break from this overload of information and activity from a digital world that we just can't cope with anymore. And I think that it's in terms of health, in terms of the economy, in terms of your happiness, it's something that can truly enrich your life. Most people behave in certain ways because of insecurities that have been created through some kind of experiences in their life. You know, and so to understand that you shouldn't always take face value, or to be in a way more empathetic or understanding towards the other when they act in a way that they've been raised or because of the people that they had around them, which gives you a lot of power and a lot of strength. And that also gives you strength when you're faced with people, your boss, people you have to report to, who act in a very, very bad way. You know, you have to understand why they're there and why they're acting. Usually they're afraid to lose their power. It's a very common thing. Don't take no for an answer. Nothing is impossible. Create a network around you of people that support you. It's almost like having a personal board of people who can give you good feedback and who support you and who believe in you. So if you have some kind of resistance at work or in school or whatever, you can go to people that can give you the courage to overcome that. And you have to be very selective. I think you should always question, and you should always play the devil's advocate. But some people, they don't have that energy. I think people are different, and not everybody has to make trouble or to start a company. It's okay. I never thought that I would be running my second digital craft business in a way. You know, I mean, who would have thought that ever? I mean, there's doctors, there's lawyers. This didn't exist when I was a teenager. I could have never imagined to become what I am right now. And so there's a lot of serendipity. And I think it's important to know what your values are and what keeps you a good person. And then you can go with the flow, as long as you make sure that you don't compromise your integrity. And then you feel good and you can follow your passion. I think it's extremely important to be open and to have a yes and attitude to go with the flow. This is how the best things in my life happened to me. I just said yes. And I'm not talking about yes and being the doormat and being trampled upon. I'm not talking about this. I'm just saying there's something new, something you do not know where you go into, and it's either hit or miss. When it's a miss, okay, fine, you know, at least you know. But when it's a hit, it's so amazing because you just never expected it. And that's what I love about the uncertainty of the future, is that something so great could happen. And I hope that other people will be able to embrace that too, because it's a lot more fun to live that way. I think in general, if you're open and positive, you get that back. In German, we have a saying, whatever you scream into the forest, it comes back to you.